Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hey, look at us doing a podcast together. That's great.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2017. How are you today? I mean, what kind of Sunday has it been for you? Has it been a good one? Did you wake up late? Did you have some fun? Did you stay? Hey, I miss church. Why can't I go to church? I'm always going to church, and I can't go to church because nobody gets together anymore, because otherwise we'll get sick and die. That's my song for today. Did you like it? I put a lot of work into it.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
What? You didn't? How dare you insult me? I love
Mike's
the fact that
Daily
this podcast today
Podcast
is completely done as fast as possible, because I am once again, for some reason, Sundays get away from me. I cannot get everything I wanted to get done, and I just always... But that's life, right? Sometimes you got, stuff to do, and it all can't be done. So the gardening thing, that's big with me right now, is getting my hands in the soil and the dirt. And no one's around, because no one likes to be anywhere near you when you're doing gardening, because that means they have to help you and have to help lug all the stuff you chop up over to the compost bin. Do you have a compost bin? Do you love compost bins? Do you know compost bins, at least here in the Bay Area, you can put all kinds of stuff in your compost bin. Do you know what you can put in your compost bin? You can put, let's say, for example, you drank a coffee from Starbucks, one of the few that's still open, because they all closed. Everywhere I've gone, I've seen nothing but closed Starbucks. The one in Dublin, here in the Bay Area near Podcastro Valley, it says, don't come in here, basically. Just order online, pick it up. So when you're done with that wonderful cup, you can throw it in the compost bin. And that's what they want you to do. And what a great way to recycle.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Because it's made out of paper, it will decompose in the compost. And there we go. The podcast picture today is right next to Dublin. There's the town of San Ramon. And there's this cool little tractor museum. And there's a carriage here and a picture of, it looks like a gas station, and John Deere Road. And we'll talk to John Deere in a little bit, because that's what this show does. It talks to people. It talks to you. You could talk to me. 336MM Daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6MM is a Mike Matthews Daily, is what this podcast has been now for 3 days. Wow. Basil's impressed. He's saying, gosh, Mike, all this podcasting, and you put me on every single one of them. I can't take it anymore. I can't come up with new content. It's too much. Hey, meanwhile, coal mining. Oh, my gosh. So if the coal industry was hurting before, and you remember that was Trump's big thing, was I'm going to bring back coal mining. So the coal mining, it's the lifeblood of America. Well, not only is it now how do you say it in French? Incredible. Maybe that's how you say it. At any rate, it's incredibly difficult for the coal miners to go and mine coal, because now they have to be 6 feet apart. They have to do the social distancing. So that's difficult. And then they're just not, people aren't using, apparently, this is what I heard. I don't know. I got this from the AP, that people aren't using as much electricity as they used to. Partly because all the schools are closed, a lot of businesses are closed, so there's just not that much electricity being used. As I guess it's down but then I heard it's only down 3%, so I don't know. Cafe, I don't know. I mean, cafe anyway. Somewhere in Podcastro Valley today, the last place on earth, Podcastro Valley 10. Did you hear this sad story about Nick Cordero? He is a Broadway performer, dancer, and probably the worst thing, and he performed in the musical version of Bullets Over Broadway, and A Bronx Tale, and Waitress, and Rock of Ages, and apparently his leg had to be amputated because of the coronavirus. Yes, how is that How does that happen? Isn't the coronavirus some kind of a breathing situation where you can't breathe? But his wife said that we had issues in his right leg with clotting and getting blood down to his toes, and it just isn't happening with surgery. And the blood thinners weren't working, and it caused other issues. But I guess it all goes back to the coronavirus. It's interesting. I've never heard of this. This really stands out as a news story because it doesn't seem like something that would be caused by coronavirus. At any rate, it's very sad. My mom lost her leg, not because of coronavirus, but this happened years ago. And it was not because of diabetes. And my mom had a just a similar situation as Nick Cordero in that the circulation was not going well with her leg. And so they tried all kinds of surgery and none of it. In the end, she was able to keep the leg for quite a while, for a couple of years, and then enough was enough. And she was either going to lose her life or lose her leg. And she has since adapted. And life throws these things at you, these unpleasant things that you're like, really? And then you go, aren't we done saying really? Do we have to? That expression really is just done. Can we move on from that? Anyone that uses that, I think to myself, you are living in the 90s. I think that's where we started that. I remember the Gilmore Girls using really a lot. And yes, I did watch the Gilmore Girls. I will stand out and say that because Lauren Graham and what's her face, Bledsoe, Olivia Blitz, whatever her name was, and the Edward R. Herman, who has since died, and it was fun because I like the shows with all the odd characters and the interesting folks. My lovely lady friend and I now are watching. We started from the beginning of Northern Exposure. We started watching it in the middle somehow, watched it all the way to the end, and it was sad last night. We watched the final one, and there's this beautiful song by Iris DeMent where she sings, "Now we say goodnight, the sun going down on your town tonight." It always makes my eyes water a little bit. But yes, now we're back to the beginning. So Gilmore Girls kind of was trying to do that. You could tell there was some inspiration. I think somebody that had worked on Northern Exposure worked on Gilmore Girls. At any rate, as we go outside a cafe anyway, we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley Ton today. What I was talking about had something to do with coal, had something to do with how life throws crazy things at you, and something about Lauren Graham. So just work that all out in your mind if you can. Misophonia. Is that how you say it? That is where there are certain sounds that drive you crazy that you can't take anymore, that you cannot stomach, like the scratching a chalkboard thing. Isn't that interesting? So I know someone who cannot take mouth sounds. So smacking your lips or doing something, just any kind of... I can't take the people clearing their throats. That drives me nuts. And then when I'm in radio and people clear their throats on the air, that drives me nuts. You got to be kidding me. That's okay. Really is dated and goes back to the Gilmore Girls, which is... Are they going to make a new season on Netflix? That's my big question. But really is no longer good to stop it. We're just going to all agree to stop it, right? No more. And we'll move forward. That's good. Let's see now. Apparently, the Gilmore Girls... Oh, they've rated every single Gilmore Girls episode on Yahoo Life. They did this recently. And I don't know why I'm bringing this up. Oh, here's an interesting thing, though, about Gilmore Girls and Northern Exposure, the big difference between the two. Northern Exposure was completely filmed on the Warner Brothers set near Burbank, I guess. And you can always see in the background, if they point the camera slightly up, you can see the mountains there. That basically Universal Studios is on this mountain. It's actually part of Griffith Park and Forest Lawn and all that in that part of the San Fernando Valley, which I grew up in there, San Fernando Valley. However, this set that they have, the Warner Brothers set that they turned into the town of Stars Hollow, was also the town used in Dukes of Hazzard and multiple shows over the years. I once had the opportunity to go. There was somebody that worked for Warner Brothers Records, and I was working for a pop station, and this record promoter was really trying to get me to add a song because I was a music director, and they always try and get you, hey, start playing the song for us. If you play the song, I'll take you on a tour of the Warner Brothers set and you'll get to see where they filmed Gilmore Girls. That never happened because I have scruples. But to do the difference between Gilmore Girls and Northern Exposure is that Northern Exposure did not film on a backlot set of some studio, even though it was filmed actually, it was Universal Studios, or Universal was the company that did film Northern Exposure. But they instead shot the entire show in Washington. And Kai Alfred Hillig, who's been on the show, and please go to the interviews section of my website at MikesDailyPodcast.com and listen to the multiple times he's been on the show, because his music is fantastic. And he and I have often talked about Northern Exposure and about the cool little town of Roslyn where they used to film it in Washington. And they basically took over the town. And someday I will make a pilgrimage there. But that's the difference. They did not shoot it in the San Fernando Valley. It was shot in Washington, which is not Alaska where the show is supposed to be, but yet kind of close, a little bit closer to Washington than being in San Fernando Valley. It certainly looked great. They had all these snow-covered mountains that you could, if you don't know Alaska that well, go, that's Alaska. Cafe Anyway, that's where I someday want to go. And that's what I've learned today. Hey, if you're anywhere in the Diablo Valley in the Bay Area, just want you to know, if you look at Mount Diablo tonight and every Sunday night, they will be turning on the beacon at the very top of the mountain, which is very cool. Mount Diablo is this amazingly huge mountain in our area. Not as big as the mountains in Washington, but it's a beautiful mountain. It's all green right now. I'm actually looking at it from outside a cafe anyway, located somewhere in Podcaster Valleyton. Tonight, the beacon will be on in honor of all the hardworking people getting through the pandemic, the hospital workers, the health workers, the people that are essential workers that are working now to try and keep everything going in a sense of normalcy as much as we can in today's world. So what do you think about all that? You can call me at 336MM Daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast will continue to try to be for the next couple of days. We'll see. We'll see tomorrow at the end of Monday if I can try to do a podcast or not have my soul ripped out of my body by people saying really all the time, and other things that happen at my job that make me go really. I mean, you got to be kidding me is what I usually say, because of some of the things that happen at my job. And I go, what? And enough of those things happen, and I have no impetus to do this show. Hey, look who's outside a cafe anyway. That's what we should do right now.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. If anything, this time of our world right now, in our society, we all need to band together and keep going and keep calm and carry on, Mike Matthews.
Wow, that sounds like a Winston Churchill thing. Have you noticed how much we're quoting Winston Churchill these days? If you're going through hell, keep on going, and all that stuff, everything he said before. We're quoting him like I've noticed.
That's right, Mike Matthews. Winston Churchill. He was some guy in England.
He was in England. What's your favorite podcast? You can tell me. Because some guy tried to rate them all. And I think the top one he liked was the one that Michael Ian Black does. Then, let's see, number 2 was Online Marketing Made Easy. I won't even say the other ones he listed. I'm like, come on, throw me a bone. Talk about my podcast, for gosh sakes. I wrote this down. All right, sometimes I will butt heads with Rob Black. I'm going to just say that right now. He sometimes will get on my nerves because he likes it when we all just do what he says. And occasionally I'm like, well, Rob, it'd be nice if you do what I said from time to time, but that doesn't happen. At any rate, and this means nothing to any of you who live outside of the Bay Area who don't know who Rob Black is. That's fine. And he's not in any way related to Michael Ian Black, but that would be cool if he was. But one time I had a really hard conversation with Rob, and I'm not going to say he was right. I'm not going to say I was right. But at any rate, we had a conversation, and a lady I work with named Lana, who's listened to the beginning of, she has listened to this podcast to maybe the first minute or two. She liked the song part, I think. And after this hard conversation I had with Rob, she gave me some candy. And I only bring that up because sometimes our fellow humans that are going through some hard times, we got to give them some candy. We got to cheer them up and go, you know what? Keep going. Keep calm and carry on, my friend. Carry on. Be persistent. Hey, look who else is here outside a cafe anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valleyton, the last place on. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Yes, Mike, we all need to try to calm down and deal with the stress as best as we can. There, you know what? Actually, what you just did there, that's kind of like what people should do. They should say, Is that what you were doing? Were you saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, you should just sometimes calm yourself down. Just saying the word calm can calm you down. That's my little tip for you today. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. And thank you for listening to FF episode 2017, 2017. 2017, what a year that was. Because that is not the year I met my lovely lady friend. I met her the year after that. And yes, she and I are going to have our 2-year anniversary soon. So I should remember to mention that whole thing next episode. Because that was a great year, 2018. 2017 was okay. It was all right. Okay. All right. Check MikesDailyPodcast.com and call me 336MM Daily. Let me know what you think about all this. 3 + 3 = 6. MM is Mike Matthews. Daily is what this podcast will hopefully continue to be, and we'll carry on. Carry on. Take it away, Ariel.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!